give another round of applause to this wonderful choir. The best is yet to come. It's truly an honor to be before you again here for the occasion here at Jubilee Day. And I can only imagine 159 years ago, there were individuals sitting in a church just like this one, waiting for freedom, justice, and liberation. And 159 years later, here we are, waiting and expecting freedom, justice, and liberation. I'm Attorney Gerald Griggs, the first Vice President of the Atlanta chapter of the NAACP. And thank you. And when I reflect on last year, from all of the marches, all of the protests, all of the pain and jubilation, I stay resolute in the belief of our ancestors that we will reach the promised land. And we're going to get there together. And so on this occasion, as we are entering and have entered into the year 2022, I want to give you guys a charge. We all saw what happened at the Capitol, which will be a year anniversary in a couple days. We all saw what happened down in Brunswick. We saw what happened in Louisville and Minnesota. And we have been forced to reckon with forces in this state that must be called to the carpet. So in this year, I ask you as the occasion to refocus yourself towards the battle for liberation, freedom, and justice, to get in some good and necessary trouble. You know, many of my friends that are in the audience today have been on the front lines with me and with this association and with Richard and so many others in getting in some good trouble, whether that's in Washington, D.C., whether that's down in Brunswick, whether that's on all of the streets in Atlanta. Many of you now are elected officials, and we are expecting to be the voice of the voiceless, to speak truth to power, to say certain names like Rayshard Brooks, like Jimmy Atchison, like Oscar Kane, DeAndre Phillips, and Deatrick Griffin. These are just a few of the names in Atlanta alone that have been victims of police brutality. But we also have to, on this occasion, call out the elephant in the room, white supremacy. Well. So let's redirect ourselves and refocus ourselves in 2022 to speak full-throated against white supremacy. Whether that's to face off against the governor like my client Park Cannon did and was dragged through the Capitol. We're going to keep knocking. We're going to keep pushing. Because we've had some major victories in 2021. But 2022 will set the tone again in this state for the rest of the nation. The eyes of the world are watching Georgia, which means the eyes of the world are watching Atlanta. And it is in our DNA that we will send a message of civil rights and social justice to the world. Whether that's in the spirit of John Dale Johnson or the spirit of Julian Bond and so many great champions of social justice and civil rights. So I'm going to leave you with this. In 2020, we lost titans of the movement. In 2021, we reaffirmed that this is a new movement. In 2022, we will show the world. Once again, you can't silence our voice. You can't suppress our votes. You can't try to drag us back to some foregone era without the sons and daughters of Martin, the sons and daughters of John Dale, the sons and daughters of John Lewis, speaking truth to power, in season and out of season. We'll show up in your capital. We'll show up at your town hall. We will show up outside your house. Peaceful and nonviolent, but resolved that we will not leave this world in a worse place than we found it. For all of the babies that are to come will be born with full rights of citizenship. Because I had a friend tell me, and it really resonated with me. I'm 43 years old. I am the first person born in my family with all of my rights. I do not want my 13-year-old to have to say that my daddy didn't fight for me to keep my rights. So we got an election in 2022. We got certain people already blowing the dog whistles, talking about an election that was stolen, talking about illegal voting. But over and over again, case after case, you see proof that in 2020 and 2021, those were the most secure and most participated in elections in the history of this state. You want to know why that happened? Organizations like this one partnered with other organizations to speak truth to power. Folks were always talking about 2020. Man, y'all marched a lot. Y'all was marching. Yeah, I wore out some shoes marching. But in 2021, we marched to the polls. We're going to march to the polls again. But starting next month, we got to go back to Washington. We got to send a message to the administration, both in Georgia and in Washington. There's nothing more precious than our right to vote. We let them have the recess, but now it's about getting the John Lewis Voting Rights Act passed and the Freedom to Vote Act passed. So the occasion is simply this: use the courage of your ancestors who fought in season and out of season, threw off the shackles of slavery, threw off the shackles of Jim Crow, threw off the shackles of mass incarceration, and spoke truth to power. Let's not only earn the respect of our ancestors, but let's earn the respect of our descendants. Because 100 years from now, in a church just like this, they will be calling on your names for power. Now you have to ask yourself, what great mountains will you have overcome? What rivers would you have crossed when your grandchildren look back on the annals of time? For me, the fight continues. For the NAACP, the fight never ended. And for you, for the occasion, we are asking you to join the fight. I'm Attorney Gerald Griggs. I love you guys, and I look forward to seeing you on the front lines.